Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome back to Colborough Park Farm and Massey Manor. So, we have enough money to get our logging equipment, but we've just got a little bit of clearing up to do just here before we go ahead and buy that, so we can get this worker back up and running again. Just need to tidy up some of these patches that he's missed. So as you know, some of my Let's Plays have been sort of put on hold, simply because of the ongoing issues I have with my PS4, trying to diagnose the issues that are wrong with it. I think it's the hard drive itself. I hope it's just the hard drive. Because if it's just the hard drive, then I've got a workaround for that, and I don't have to buy a new drive. Well, I kind of do, but with a caveat. I don't need to buy a new hard drive to fit inside the console. I have one of those spare already. I have the original 500 gig hard drive that this machine came with when I bought it. I still have that, because I actually put in a 2 terabyte Samsung drive shortly after I bought my PS4, which is about 3 years ago now, just under. And it's taken a fair bit of punishment. It's been used an awful lot, and I'm starting to wonder if it's just suffering wear and tear and is now, threatening to give out on me. So what I've done is I've ordered myself a 2 terabyte external hard drive, a Seagate drive from Amazon. That'll be arriving tomorrow, and I can use that as an external drive powered by USB 3. Now that we have the 4.50 update, well, we got that a while back, but the 4.5 update for PlayStations enabled the use of external hard drives. Finally, it's been a long time coming, that one. So I'll be plugging in the drive when it comes tomorrow, and I'll be transferring all of my games over onto that. Now, unfortunately though, I can only really save games on there and apps. I can't transfer over any screenshots, and I can't transfer over any video files. So it'll literally just be the games. But given that my internet is not the fastest, and I have a large games collection, hence the 2 terabyte hard drive, the last thing I want to have to do is to re-download all of my games, because it will take an absolute eternity to do so, and completely, throttle my internet for, well, weeks to get everything fully downloaded again. So by transferring everything across to the storage drive, those games are saved, and no matter what happens, I have those still fully installed, just moved to a separate drive that can be plugged into any console. Because it's a nice plug and play feature, it won't be tied to just one machine. It'll be tied to my profile, so I can't just plug them into someone else's machine and run them unless I sign into that console as me. But if worse comes to worse and I have to get a new PS4, then I can just plug that drive in to the new one. I still have all of those games fully installed on the standalone drive, and I don't have to worry about re-downloading any of them to be able to play them. It's kind of handy, especially considering the gameplay series that I'm doing. That's a minimum of 4 games that I would need to reinstall just to keep the channel going, plus all the other files and DLCs and what have you. So that's a bonus in that respect. Now, the reason I've gone for the USB drive, as I said, is because, well, there's two reasons. One is because it's a great way for me to actually test and see if the hard drive is what's causing the problem. So once I've transferred everything over to my backup drive, then I can take the 2TB drive out, put in the original 500GB hard drive, which was only in the system for maybe a month, and works absolutely perfectly. Or at least it did when I took it out. And then boot the thing up and see if it's still making those horrible noises. And if it is, then I know it's a problem with the system and not with the drive. Now, if it's a problem with the system, that means I'm going to need a new console, because it's making the kind of noises that suggest that there is an imminent failure. And as it's over 3 years old, it's well out of warranty. And it's not cheap to get them fixed. I mean, Sony do offer a repair service, but the fee is £125. And what they do is you send your system in, and they will send you a similar version, a console in. They'll do a quick assessment of the system, and then they'll just send you a refurbished one of similar age and condition and same build type, because there are, I think, 4 different builds on the original style PlayStation. There's at least 3. There's the A model, the B model, the C model. I think there's a D model as well, before we even get to the PS4 Slim. So I think mine is a B, possibly a C, but I think it's a B. It wasn't one of the initial launch consoles from those first few months, so I think mine's a B. I mean, I got mine as a Watch Dogs bundle, and as I say, it's about 3 years old now, so that to me suggests it's going to be a B model. So they would send me a replacement refurbished B in similar condition to the one that mine's in, unless A, they don't have one of those, or or B, they don't have one in the same condition as mine, in which case they would get parts, fix mine, and then send mine back to me, which means I could be without a console for a week to 10 days, all the way up to about 3 or 4 weeks, which is no good at all. To be without my system that long is just not good at all. So given how much it costs and how long I wouldn't have it for, and the fact that I can, for twice the price of getting, a system repaired that then may just fail again, a few months down the line, for double that price, I could just buy a brand new shiny PS4 Slim off the shelf, or for an additional 100 on top of that, I could get a PS4 Pro. So I have a couple of different options that way. I certainly won't be sending off for a replacement one and sending mine in to be fixed, because it just won't be financially worth it. Just when my PS3 started acting up and then died, I was able to fix it myself, but it died 5 more times before it finally bit the bucket, and I couldn't fix it myself. But if I'd had to send my PS3 in to Sony to fix it each time, it wasn't as much at the time, but it was still expensive. That would have been a huge bill and a huge waste of money, to have to keep sending an aging console in for repairs when I could just buy a replacement console, which is what I ended up doing. After I couldn't fix it myself any longer, I ended up buying a second-hand PS3 Slim to replace it, and then a few months later I got a cash windfall and was able to buy a PS4, and I've hardly used my PS3 since. So I wouldn't be totally gameless if I did, my console did burn out and die, because I still do have my PS3 and a lot of games still installed on it. But if it's a problem, as I say, if it's a problem with the machine, then that's what I'm going to have to do. If it's a problem with the hard drive, then it's sorted. You know, I've got all my games backed up on my 2 terabyte drive, and on top of that, you know, I still have a fully functioning 2 terabyte hard drive. Now the problem is though, when you take a hard drive out of a system and you put a new one in, the new one is obviously going to get formatted because it's not necessarily keyed up for that system. So when you put a new drive in, the console immediately formats that drive, wipes it clean and sets it up ready to start going. And obviously you have to have a little USB flash drive with the operating system on a particular path folder so that it can install the operating system, and then boom, there you go, clean install, empty PS4 ready for use. So I could put the 500 gig drive in, and assuming that, you know, the system still makes noises, I know that there's nothing wrong with the drive, or at least it means that I don't necessarily know there's nothing wrong with the drive, but I know the problem is with the system. So I could buy a new console, put the 2 terabyte hard drive in the new console, and be pretty confident that would work, and I would then have 2 terabytes built-in memory and a further 2 terabytes of external storage when I need it, or just a backup of everything should something go wrong. But I wouldn't be able to put that 2 terabyte hard drive back into my original console without it formatting. So once I take it out, that's it. I'm committed to that drive either being thrown away or wiped clean. One of the two things is going to happen. There's no way around that. The system will just automatically wipe the hard drive if I take it out and then put it back in again once I put a different drive in. Even though it was keyed to that system, it would just wipe it clean. So, yeah, not ideal, unfortunately. So, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to have a faulty drive, in which case I don't need to buy a replacement drive because I'll have the external storage, and then I can use the 500 gigabyte hard drive for my video files and screenshots, etc. And then all my games can just go on the external drive. Or I need a new system, which is much more expensive. So time will tell. Yeah, as I say, I get my storage drive tomorrow, so tonight I'm going to dig out the new hard drive, or the old hard drive, ready and to make the switch. Swap them over tomorrow once I get the drive and I've backed everything up. And then, fingers crossed, it'll just be a problem with the drive, because if that's the case, I don't have to worry about my console. I don't have to get a replacement. I don't even have to replace the hard drive, because I've got the external storage. But if it isn't a problem with the hard drive, I'm going to have to replace the console. So then it's a question of, do I go for the more affordable PS4 Slim, or do I bite the bullet and go for a Pro, which is going to be underutilized because I don't have a 4K display. Decisions. Time will tell tomorrow when I do my backups, and well, it might take a couple of days to actually back everything up onto the drive. Depends how fast the write speed is. But once I've got everything transferred across, you know, onto the backup drive, it'll then, as I say, be a case of running the test, swapping the drive out, and seeing what needs to be done. So that's why everything has slowed down on the channel. I'm recording the odd episode here and there, but because I can't back up my video files onto the external storage, I can only back up games and apps. If I were to record what I usually do, you know, get a bulk of, you know, 3 or 4 episodes done for each series, you know, store them on the hard drive while I'm editing them, and then get them ready for uploads, and then my hard drive fails, all of that footage is lost. and it can't be recovered, and I can't undo the work that's been done on the farm and saved, because my system will have backed up automatically those saves to my online storage. So yeah, it's a catch-22 really. That's why I've just suspended everything, or not everything, but I've suspended Sandy Bay. I may well actually just kill Sandy Bay off completely. We weren't that far advanced. It's given me a chance to maybe reassess my recording schedule a little bit. Say I do want to bring some other stuff to the channel as well as Farming Sim. And I have been burning the candle at both ends a lot over the last few weeks with recording, editing, especially with the Big Bud. I ended up making quite a few mistakes with some other stuff. I recorded both a map tour for Westbridge and a full episode of Drummard Farm, which I then saved immediately afterwards, only to wipe out, only to realise that there was no audio on those at all whatsoever, because I'd forgotten to switch the mic on, because I turned it off because I was doing a different style of recording for footage for the DLC review. And I've been really tired recently because of that. So these last few days I haven't really done much of anything in the way of recording. It's been quite nice to just relax a little bit. I've watched a lot of TV. I haven't done a huge amount of gaming. I've been playing Batman, Arkham Asylum. So I picked up the Return to Arkham pack, nice and cheap off the network. So it's been great to be able to sort of revisit an old classic that I absolutely loved on the PS3. And like I say, I just don't want to run the risk of recording a load of episodes and then losing all of the footage and not being able to undo the progress that was made. So until I know what's going on with the system, I won't be recording any more than I absolutely need to. So by shutting down Drummard and shutting down Sandy Bay and just keeping Outback and Massey going, that gives you guys some farm footage to watch through. They are the two that have a lot of new stuff coming. We're going to be getting into logging for the first time today. And obviously Outback is my most popular series at the moment, and is also featuring a lot of Big Bud content. So I don't really want to cancel either of those two series for now, or at least postpone those two series for now. I've got some episodes of No Man's Sky sort of in the bank. I've got a couple of episodes of Prison Architect in the bank. Got a brand new game, Flame in the Flood. May be pushing the first episode live before you see this video. I've got 3 of those sort of ready to go. So I'm going to try and just make do with what I've got recorded for a little while. Maybe just do the odd episode extra here and there and upload it immediately, and then just keep it private until I'm ready to launch it. And see how we go from there, see what the problem is with my system and how quickly I can get it resolved. Okay, so we need to seed field 2 now. So I'm going to drop this container off, this little seed bin here, because we won't need it for this next field, because that's the only one we have left to do now. So now I've got to try and turn around without crashing into anything. And once we've got this guy started, we can then buy our logging equipment and start moving it over. Ready to start chopping down some trees and making some money. So let's refill the seeder. We'll probably have to put a little bit more fertilizer in as well. Let's take this guy down towards the store. Just realised how dirty he is. Let's give him a quick wash. Absolutely filthy, look. Oh, and this is something I noticed but keep forgetting to mention. And it's one of the things I do love now. When you have the auto engine turned off and you have to manually restart, turn on your engines, when you jump out, if your wheels are turned like this, then they stay turned. And that's new for 17. Didn't used to do that on 15. I like that. Of course, the second you get back in, you immediately sort of spin the wheel back round to 12 o'clock. But I like that, being able to just park up with your wheels at an angle. It means you can get some really nice screenshots with your equipment with that little feature. It's a really nice little function. I like that. Oh, of course, filling up the Cedar is eating into the money that we had to buy our equipment. Oh, damn it. Do I have any money in the bank? Yes, we do. We do have some money. Good. Let's take that 25 grand out. Now we've definitely got enough money. I was panicking for a second then because, we needed at least 30 grand. And I just spent 6 of it on seed. Or 4 of it. Six grand or so on seed. So, didn't even think about that. But now we have a little under 50, so we can definitely afford the equipment that we want. It's only going to be leased. We can't afford to buy anything. But it does give us a little bit of extra flexibility now as well, because I can get a second trailer as well. So I can get a... Actually, no, I thought about a second trailer. I might not bother with a second trailer. We've got a 40,000 litre capacity on our big body. So, may just stick with that. But he's just messaged me asking if I'm recording, so I just quickly send him a message back. This is why I like having the app on my phone. There we go. Message sent. Didn't have to break out of the game to the main PlayStation menu system. So let's put a little bit more fertilizer in here as well. Then we can get him started on field 2. Get him seeding away. We are going to need the 8700 at some point. So the quicker we can get him done, the better. 1200 should be more than enough fertilizer, I think, for that field. Don't want to spend too much again. Like I said, we need the money. Just close the lid down there. So, we know that this field causes issues. So what I'm going to do is, as always, going to do a little border. And then I'm actually going to chop across a certain patch and just get him working in a different, from a different point of the field, so that I can get him running for longer to allow us to get our equipment in and moved to where we need it before he starts having issues, or hopefully before he starts having issues. I'd really like to be able to bring the Cultiplow from the Big Bud DLC onto this farm as well. But unfortunately, with the Massey theme, we just don't have a tractor available to us that's powerful enough. Even the 8700 with the fully maxed engine only goes up to 400 brake horsepower. It just isn't powerful enough to pull the Cultiplow. We need a minimum really of 450. And on this map, where the hills are really steep as well, you want a power excess, not a power deficit. Power deficit on this map is just going to kill you. So it looks as though we might have to give that one a pass. Unfortunately, I was really looking forward to bringing it on, unless of course we just go with a tractor that is not, you know, in the Massey family, in which case that opens up a couple of options to us. The JCBs would be something I would like to bring in, but they again are not really powerful enough. I don't think the Valtra will be powerful enough either. We're just going to cut across here, like so, in front of the telegraph pole. Oh, just got caught on the pole there. There we go. Go back the other way. Let's get below the pole there. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame because I was really looking forward to using some of the equipment. I'm trying to think if there is a another suitable tractor that we could easily add in to this. Even if we stuck within the Agco family and bought in a Fendt, we would be in exactly the same position. A Fendt 900 only goes up to, I think, 380 horsepower. So that's even less powerful than the 8700. Challenger I don't really want to use on this map, but I might not have a choice. So we might get a small, you know, the smallest of the Challengers, and do it that way. That would be one way we could bring the Culti-Plough over to this this farm, as if it had a small Challenger to run it. Because I can't think what other tractor we could get that would really fit in with the Massey theme that we're running. I don't think there is anything at all. I mean, let's have a look and see what we've got. We need, as I say, we need at least, I would say, 500 horsepower, really. So even the S series here, look, only goes up to 400 horsepower. That's the same as the Massey that we already have. I don't really want to use Case because I'm using Case on American Outback. I don't really want to use New Holland because we have them on Sandy, and if that series does stick around, I don't really want to double those up. So Challenger becomes the only other real alternative, because let's face it, we would never see a big bud here in the UK like this. On a farm like this, it just wouldn't happen. So, I mean, again, I would love the Black Edition, but fully maxed out. It's the same as a standard 8700, 400 horsepower. It's just not strong enough. We could potentially use a Holmer Terra variant, but I don't plan on running beats on this farm, so I don't really see the point in buying one of those. Because I would want to use that in tandem with a Terrados. So it does look as though the only real option to us would be this. And then we could up, even this one would be a bit small. We'd need this one here, the MT800. And we could, you know, that comes with a standard engine of 492, and we could up it to 592 or even 646. I mean, 592 would be more than enough for this farm. But that's what we're looking at, and that's going to cost us, what, 446,000. Even without the engine upgrade, it's just about powerful enough, really. Really be doing with a little bit higher. That's still going to cost us 400,000. That's just a lot of money. And when you consider we're spending another 80-something thousand, was it 82,000 or 86,000 for the Culti-Plough? 82,000. It's an awful lot. So never mind. Anyway, forestry equipment. So we want the Sampo Rosenloo, the HR46X. We want to lease one of these for 15,000. We also want one of these as well. I don't know anybody who actually uses this. I haven't come across anyone who uses this wood chipper in 17. Haven't seen any footage of anyone using it although I haven't specifically gone looking for it. I'm sure there is footage out there. But this is so much easier to use. You know, now that we can pick up logs, you know, if you've got small logs, you can either just pick them up by hand, you know, and throw them in there, or you can just use a log fork from on a tractor or a, you know, telehandler / wheel loader, and just drop logs in there, or even just cut logs directly into it with a scorpion. You know, it's all going to get chipped, so they don't have to be big logs. It's cheaper. It has an inbuilt storage. You know, it has its own power source, so it doesn't need to be hooked up to a tractor to run it. It just makes so much more sense, you know, to use one of those. It really does. So we need one of these, so let's lease one of those. That's another $5,000. So we have 28,000 left. Do we have a chainsaw? Well, we shouldn't really need one. We are going to need a stump grinder, but not just yet. So, and we're not planning on running logs straight away. We're just going to be cutting down a whole load of logs to get started. And then once we've done that, then we'll start chipping. So we'll have an episode where we just cut down and stack a whole load of trees. And then the episode after that will probably be them being processed. So I think that's all we need in terms of equipment, just those 2 items. So let's get in the Rosenlu. Do we have beacon? No, we don't have beacons. Interesting. Apart from trying this thing out, I wasn't paying any attention. Ah, we completely rolled. Can I right this? Come on. Use the arm to pick me up. There we go. Is that the wing mirror from the car on the road? Oh no, it's just a cat's eye. Although, wouldn't that be ironic if we'd actually inflicted some actual damage to one of these vehicles? Never seen that happen before, but yeah. So I've never used one of these apart from the initial tests I used when I first tried it out when I first got the game. Whenever I've done logging, you know, mass logging like this, I've always just used the Scorpion because it will do every tree, whereas this will only do small to medium small trees. So yeah, never really used one of these. Just seemed like a very expensive waste of money, but I honestly hope, and if it doesn't work, then we've kind of wasted $15,000, but we do still have enough to be able to get a Scorpion. So I'm really hoping this is going to be able to cut down the trees that we have, because they don't look that big, and they're all exactly the same tree. They're all the same size, same height, etc. Same thickness. So if it can cut down one, it can cut them all down. And I just thought it'd be nice to actually use something that you just don't see every day. It'd be nice to use something I have really pretty much never used as well. Let's pull over a little bit, let the traffic go past. We'll try and go past. Got a bit of a queue behind us. Go on if you're going. Just need to get out of the way of the signpost. There he goes. One more car coming. I would have done that in cabin, but there's no mirrors anywhere, so I can't see what's going on. And the last thing I want to do is driving something like this while just staring out the back window. So I end up driving into a hedge or over a tree or something and just get it wedged and stuck completely. So where do we need to take this? We need to take this up the side road, don't we? Between fields 1 and 2. We want to take it up that way because we want to take it to field 26. That was going to be our in point, wasn't it? Field 26. So yeah, we'll get this up there. Then we'll drive the tractor, the little mini Massey, our 3300 series, up there with the chipper, and then the 87, when he's finished seeding, can bring the trailer up. And while all that's going on, we'll just be cutting down a load and load and load of trees. And the only downside to this thing moving so slowly, a measly 9 miles an hour, is that it is going to cause, it's going to eat up time. So you can see at the moment we're still at 0.0 hours of use, but we're on a clock with this already, and we're going to use up 0.1 at least, maybe even 0.2, just getting this thing up to where we need it. Which means we have less time in the cab before it needs to be returned. Because while it stays between the 0 to 0.9 hours worked, it's bought and paid for, for the usage. The second it clicks over to 1 hour, 1.0, that means we immediately get charged another full hour of use. So if that happens, may as well use it up to 1.9 so that we're getting our money's worth, kind of thing. But again, once that happens, we'll have to be really careful that it doesn't click over to to 2.0, because if that happens, we get charged another full hour. Whether we use it or not. So we haven't really been up here, apart from a couple of episodes ago when we were exploring. Never really driven up here. I haven't done... I think this is our pig farm, if I remember rightly, up here. Haven't done pigs on this map. Ever. So, you can see there's all our trees there in the background that we're going to be attacking with this thing. The clock on this still hasn't gone up. So maybe the hours of usage only counts once the actual harvester is switched on. Maybe the driving doesn't count. Because it's... Oh, no, there it goes. It's just clicked over. So that's 6 minutes worth of use that we've just clicked into there. Okay, so here we are at field 26 even. Open that up. In we go. And this is going to be our little logging base of operations. Start attacking the trees just here. So we'll turn the engine off and jump out. How's our seeder getting on? He's doing a pretty good job. He's already done most of that expanse. We'll have little bits that we'll have to clean up after him, and then we'll finish the field off manually. And then once that's done, he can bring the trailer up and we can start, chopping down trees and wood chipping. So let's take the wood chipper over to the field, to field 26. Let's get our beacons on. We're going to struggle a little bit with the weight of this thing, I think. Ideally, if we'd had the 8700, I'd be using this to transport the wood chipper, because it is quite big and it is quite cumbersome. We are going to struggle with the weight of it with this little tractor. Needs must. So we have a new map on its way. Obviously we know that Mustang Valley is still in testing, or at least as I'm recording this, today is Tuesday. Tuesday the 16th? Yes, 16th. So Mustang Valley was in testing on and off all throughout last week, and then popped back into testing again on Friday or late Thursday. Was in testing all day yesterday, and then I was hoping it may be released today, and it was Thursday actually. It went back in testing on Thursday, or maybe even Wednesday. I can't remember if it was late Wednesday or first thing Thursday that it went back into testing. But yeah, it went back into testing again last week, and we didn't get it on Friday. So, we thought maybe we'll get it Monday. Didn't get it Monday. It was in testing all day. Along with the Amazona Pantera and the Lizard roller. I think that's what it is. Basically the transit van. All of those have been in testing, on and off all of last week and now into the beginning of this week as well. And all three of those mods were the only things being tested for console yesterday as well as they were on Friday. And I tell a lie, Friday we got, what did we get? We got a new bale fork, and we got a new little shed as well as a placeable. Those two items got into testing and out of testing very quickly. Everything else, the things that everyone's been waiting for, not the roller, sorry, the rumbler, the Lizard rumbler, that and Mustang Valley and the Pantera. They're the things that people have been waiting for a while. They're still in testing as this is recorded. It's testing's been and gone for Tuesday, so maybe tomorrow, one of those might make its way, if not all of them, might make their way through testing onto the Mod Hub if they pass. I'm really getting impatient for Mustang Valley now. I've tried to be as patient as I possibly can be, but with Big Bud out now, I just desperately want that map out now so I can really have some Big Bud fun. And so it just hasn't happened, and it's starting to get a little frustrated now. I mean, it's nothing to do with the author. It's not his fault. It's just these things happen when you're coding a map for consoles. Sometimes an error will pop up that you didn't expect or didn't foresee, and you fix one thing, and occasionally, having done a little bit of, I know it's not the same thing, but having done coding in Excel using VBA, I do know that when you find a bug and you fix it, sometimes when you fix something, you break something else in the process, and you have to go through a whole nother batch of testing to find what's causing the new problem, and you fix that, and then again it might cause a new error that would pop up that wasn't being triggered before because of the changes that you make. So I understand the process of and the need for testing, and I have no problem with that at all. I would much rather wait a little bit longer for something that works than have something rushed out that doesn't work at all and just frustrates and annoys when it's released because it doesn't work properly. But having said that, it has been, it did look at one point like we might even get this map, Mustang Valley, at the end of April, way ahead of schedule, because it wasn't, when it was first talked about, it was the plan was to have it released around the 7th, or at least be submitted for testing by the 7th, so that it would come out around the same time as the DLC. And then it was finished before April was finished, and it was submitted for testing before April had even finished, and it failed testing, and it went back, and it was fixed on the same day and resubmitted on the same day. And within a day or two of it being taken out of testing, it was back in testing again, and then it failed testing again. And now it's in its third round of testing, and I really hope that this is the round that it passes. I mean, American Outback, I don't know how many times that went through testing, because we didn't have the testing thread on the forums at that point. But I do know that the patch was tested 3 times before the patch was released. So who knows? And another new farm on the way, the one I was about to actually talk about at the start of this video, this little ramble, was Kendall Farm. A new farm is on its way, hopefully. That has just failed. It's just gone live today, as I record this, on Mod Hub for PCs. It did fail something. I don't know what exactly it failed on, but I know it failed testing for console. But it was just a couple of minor issues apparently, and was going to be worked on and resubmitted. So by the time you see this, we may even have Kendall Farm. Have a look. I'll put a link in the description if we have a map tour for Kendall Farm by the time you see this video. But so we've got 2 new maps, hopefully in the very near future as I record this. They may even both be out by the time you see this, who knows. But plenty of extra stuff still on its way for consoles. It's always good to see that. So right, well, we are out of time for this episode, so we've got a little bit left of field left to do. So I'm going to finish this off camera. I'm going to grab the trailer. I'm going to wheel that up to the field where all of our logging gear is now set up, and then we'll be back for the start of the next episode. So thank you for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I will catch you back here on Cobra Park very soon.